Ben Crockett on behalf of the Texas Public Policy Foundation. Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, thank you for your time this morning to discuss Senate Bill 1567 and your leadership during the 89th legislative session on the same. 1567 preempted occupancy limits based off of arbitrary characteristics such as age, race, occupation, and consanguinity. Imagine you're a property owner advertising a home or a dwelling unit for rent, and you have a sign that says 5-bedroom house for rent. 3 bedrooms must remain empty. It sounds absurd, but for property owners across the state, but particularly in places like San Marcos and College Station, prior to 1567, that was the reality. As for instance, 3 veterans in San Marcos learned that firsthand when they were forced out of their rental home by a 1963 city ordinance restricting the number of unrelated adults who could live together. Implementation of SB 1567 has been somewhat uneven. The good, College Station, and Denton promptly repealed their occupancy limits. In the case of College Station, it was based off of consanguinity, so are you related or not? And Denton had an occupation-based occupancy limit, so they limited the number of servants that could live in a dwelling. Some cities not bracketed in the bill also took the initiative. They saw that it passed, and they said, you know, even though it doesn't apply to us, we should go ahead and remove our occupancy limits. An example of that is McKinney. They said, you know what, let's remove this ordinance from the books, even though they weren't bracketed in, and I applaud them for doing so. The bill also has a national reach. There are over half a dozen state legislatures in the past 2 years since this committee voted the bill out that have introduced and enacted similar measures. Now for the bad. Stephenville and Bryan in particular, the city of Stephenville has yet to repeal their occupancy limits. Moreover, they still retain a webpage on their code enforcement website where you can go and you can report your neighbors for living with, in some cases, no more than 2 individuals, regardless of the size of the dwelling. And how does Stephenville then say that they're going to enforce these limits? Well, they say they're going to look at your utility records, as if 3 unrelated individuals use more water than 3 related individuals. I think everyone knows about, you know, when you have, say, for instance, a teenage boy, sometimes those showers can be a little long. I don't know how utility records could demonstrate that, but they may have some method of divining it. Bryan, I also want to touch on the city of Bryan. They passed a resolution saying that they're not going to enforce their occupancy limits, but they didn't repeal it. And I have to ask, from a good governance perspective, it should be easy for residents and members of city council, members of city staff, to figure out what the rules are. And I think that it's unreasonable to expect that a regular member of the city of Bryan, a resident or a member of that city, is going to take the time to find a resolution from 2025 and know that the ordinance on the books isn't being enforced. It's much cleaner simply to repeal ordinances that have been preempted rather than just saying at some point through a resolution we've decided not to enforce it. But then I also want to touch on a city not covered by SB 1567, the city of Fort Worth. When you go to the city of Fort Worth's website, they do have a page on occupancy limits, and what they do is they actually have a form that they provide to residents, and they ask residents to put the license plate number and the date of the cars that are living next to them if they suspect that this neighbor might be violating the city's occupancy limits. And I don't think that we should be encouraging our residents to track the comings and goings of our neighbors as a matter of municipal policy. And so, therefore, my recommendation, broadly speaking, is expansion. The bill has been picked up nationally. It's been adopted by cities not originally bracketed in. It should apply to the whole state. And then secondly, covered cities should be expected to strike invalid ordinances from their code. Occupancy limits should be tethered to the structure, not the relationship or occupation of the people inside them. Thank you for your time, and if you have any questions, I'd be happy to